This week, homeless on campus.
Somehow you had to think during the day while people are focusing on their lectures. Where are you going to sleep? What are you going to eat?
A debilitating shortage of beds and bureaucracy that students are calling heartless.
I asked them one day, where am I supposed to stay? Because I'm from Mpumalanga. And they told me, no, they don't know, and that's not their problem.
This is Checkpoint, and I'm Ngepile Mabuse. After the last lecture of the day, not every student has a desk and bed to return to. Throughout the country, thousands of students are squatting in dilapidated buildings, dodging security guards as they move between libraries and even sleeping in campus toilets. The Department of Higher Education estimates that around 216,000 students are without suitable accommodation and that almost 400,000 beds will be needed by 2030. Producer Busisiwe Gumede and visiting intern Alicia Richards dug behind the numbers and found heartbreaking tales of desperation and shattered dreams. Ashley Market was behind the camera.
It was once an office the Wits University Education Students' Council used exclusively for administrative purposes. But room B43 at the Varsity's education campus in Parktown is now a makeshift dorm for desperate and homeless students. Sitembiso Shoba and Meli Gabashe have been sharing the space with many others since January. Room B43 is on the busiest side of campus, near the entrance and the dining hall. It stands unlocked and easily accessible to anyone on campus. Living in a public space without permission means starting each day a little earlier to avoid detection. Sitembiso and Meli wake up when the varsity isn't too busy and security guards not that visible. The pair's morning grooming ritual is nerve-wracking. They sneak their way into the campus gym, a facility meant for paying members.
There are showers there at the gym or go to the sport ground. We also get showers with warm water.
When Sitembiso was accepted into his dream university to study towards a degree in education, he imagined his first year would be full of positive changes.
The first time I came to Wits, when I came here to register, I registered and thought like everything would be now easy because I'm now in varsity.
But securing safe, affordable accommodation wasn't.
The first months of me being here at school were very difficult because somehow you had to think during the day while people are focusing on their lectures. Where are you going to sleep? What are you going to eat? Or are you going to sleep at the lab today? Or are you going to go to someone's place?
Meli is also studying to become a teacher and grappled with the same questions throughout his first academic year in 2016.
I used to fantasize about this place because even on my Facebook profile, I was already a VETC at grade 11. I wanted to be at VETS, the Harvard of Africa, so we used to call it.
Before enrolling at Wits, Meli lived with his family in Soweto. He says he struggled to study while in high school because of the cramped home and his noisy younger siblings. Meli believed he'd be able to give full attention to his more demanding university workload if he stayed on campus.
I come from a two-room house and Slala C8, which is my mother, father, and other 5 siblings.
This is also why Sitembiso hardly visits his family in Katlehong.
The bed is there, the TV is there, your parent is there, your brother is there. Everything is just there, just condensed in one place. So in such a situation, you can't learn, you can't do a thing, because when it's time for them to watch soapies, they open the TV so loud that you can't even concentrate on what you're doing.
Sitembiso's mother barely makes enough money needed for him to travel to university, let alone food.
I told my mother that I was supposed to go to school on Monday, and she told me that she didn't have money. I heard my mother crying, praying to God, asking God, what can I do? I'm out of options right now. And since from that day, it touched me in my life to say, whatever it takes, I'll sacrifice just to stay out of home.
Both Sitembiso and Meli have outstanding tuition fees, and despite several attempts, neither has secured funding from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. They've also had no luck with the Funza Lushaka bursary, a multi-year program meant for aspiring teachers. Like many undergraduates, Sitembiso and Meli are young and ambitious, but they're also insecure about their future.
So during the day, you would laugh, be free, just walk like everyone is walking, learn in class like everyone is learning. But once everyone is gone to their homes, you are left behind. That's when reality strikes you.
Sitembiso and Meli are constantly hunting for food.
Sometimes during the evening, so that's where you have to figure out a hotspot where you can get food. So I usually go to the dining hall in a donation box where most of the time people drop off bread and fruits.
Being late to the dining hall could mean going to bed hungry. A polite gesture to one of the workers gets him in.
Okay, cool.
He's lucky tonight. There's a variety of food to choose from. When there's nothing in the donation box, Sitembiso has to make other plans.
Sometimes I used to go to my friend's place and cook for them just to stay there, just so I can get food to eat.
When Sitembiso and Meli aren't stressing about their next meal, they're worried about their belongings. The little money they get from home often goes missing here.
And some of that money you stash it in your bag, and someone comes here and take that money away from you. How will that feel? It wouldn't be very nice. So, oh man.
This year, WITS received almost 22,000 applications for 6,150 available beds. When Checkpoint asked about plans to house students such as Sitembiso and Meli, WITS said it has approached the city of Joburg and the province to provide additional emergency accommodation. In addition, the university has provided access to some offices as temporary dormitory-style accommodation during the exam season, but that will be taken down because it doesn't meet the long-term health and safety requirements. On the other side of the country, homeless students at the University of the Western Cape are braving winter in the burnt-out Res Life building. It was set alight during the Fees Must Fall protest in 2015. In order to film inside, we had to send someone in undercover. Dirty carpets, boxes and tables have been turned into makeshift beds.
We're getting sick, we're getting flus, some of us even have operations and it's cold in Res Life, so they get sick and we have to steal heaters and borrow heaters.
We're concealing their identities because they fear victimization. Students continue living here despite safety warnings and being targets of crime and sexual abuse.
The building is not really safe because you cannot lock the door that we are staying in.
The girls share this tiny toilet to bath and get ready for class.
How many people do use this toilet per day? Let's say in the morning.
In the morning, everyone's almost everyone.
How many is everyone?
There's something. 35 here downstairs and then 10 upstairs.
So there's only one toilet for
Sorry?
45 people.
Yes.
The university acknowledges the problems at ResLife and says it does plan to renovate the building. Meanwhile, it says it has intervened to find alternative off-campus accommodation and has even negotiated a drop in prices with some landlords. But as some students move out, others simply move in. There's always going to be a constant stream. This year, the university was nearly 1,000 beds short of its applications. At the Tshwane University of Technology, the problem is massive across several campuses in and around Pretoria. Enrollment at this mega university has continued to surge in recent years. Only 30% of TUT's 60,000 students are in official accommodation.
Solo samele ma resident lavas promise ona namanje state nesikolo since sola swathu.
In January, third-year legal assistant student Olani Mbanjwa and some friends took over the top floor of the TUT radio station building. Scattered rubbish, broken windows, and graffiti are part and parcel of their space. The stench of urine is everywhere. 7 of them live here, but none of them have told their families where exactly they are.
Backwood, there was the Eastern Cape, more than 200 kilometers away up. And then I cannot actually just being anything.
With just 5 months left for Olani to complete his degree, he no longer checks the TUT's waiting list.
Just nami bengifisa nje ukuthi ngihlale eRes maybe iminyaka oloyi-1 nje at least nami ngibe nalo experience le ukuthi nami ngafunda i-TUT ngahlala eRes.
After the break, despite a good Samaritan putting a roof over their heads, 65 Tshwane University of Technology students now face eviction. As the student housing crisis deepened over the years, universities have had to rely more and more on privately owned accommodation. To be an off-campus service provider, accommodation first has to be accredited before NSFAS funding can be granted.
Villa Rosendal, in the Pretoria suburb of Arcadia, houses more than 200 students. The hotel-style property is in high demand because it's central, has high-tech security, and is seemingly well-maintained. It's accredited by the University of Pretoria, but not by the Tshwane University of Technology. Despite this, 65 TUT students have been living here. Landlord and businesswoman Sekhuale Mojapelo began housing homeless TUT students who begged her for a place to sleep.
I had a number of students coming with number of, stories to say, we are sleeping under the bridge. One was sleeping at the garage. One was sleeping in the classroom. There are a lot of stories, and others, apparently, they end up being prostitutes in Sunnyside.
All of the 65 students are funded by NSFAS and have been approved for accommodation. But they can't continue living at Mesekhuale's unless TUT accredits Villa Rosendal.
And the NSFAS, when they issued that money, they said we have access to any accommodation as long as we're not, they funded you.
That's
why the system now is failing us?
Well, I feel sad because we all know what's happening in South Africa. So now, with this situation, being kicked out and not even knowing where to go, like imagine if we have to go out in the street, and with this thing of human trafficking, we get raped.
We're writing exams. This Friday.
Not tomorrow, I'm writing.
We are busy stressing about
this.
Second-year logistics students Nkateko Makonto approached Mesegwale after she heard how sympathetic she was. Nkateko has been homeless on campus for 4 months.
The family antama building 4. Ashkolwe. Antlela on the floor, a mixed gender. Then in the morning, Antlamba at the toilet. Every day, Antlamba at the toilet. Maybe 2 weeks there.
She eventually found a place to squat with friends, but it was overcrowded and uncomfortable. She often had to share a bed with her male friends.
I was the only girl in that house, and I was very difficult because I don't have privacy.
First-year marketing student Slindile Qibi spent the first week of her varsity life camping outside TUT's residential office, begging for admission.
Like, I asked them one day, where am I supposed to stay? Because I'm from Mpumalanga. And they told me, no, they don't know, and that's not their problem.
Although Slindile has family members in nearby Mamelodi, she says she never felt welcome there. It's these types of stories that touched Mesegwale and compelled her to open her rooms to desperate students.
I'm a mother, and I know most of these children's background. They come from very poor families. They come from families that are voiceless. They come from very rural areas.
As the numbers grew, Mesegwale approached TUT for accreditation.
They said to me, I must go to building number 21. They even directed me. I took that tender document to building number 21. I submitted it there, and then I drove back.
After submitting her application, Mesegwale took in even more homeless students. She was certain her facility would be approved by TUT.
I started taking students in with the understanding that because of, I know that we are going to be approved. Since, we've got, since 2014, University of Pretoria has been sending their students here.
Having heard nothing from TUT, Mesegwale inquired about her application, but she was told she hadn't followed the correct procedure. She would have to wait until the next application period in August.
Financially, it has affected us because everything went up because of taking in those students.
Mesegwale's standard rental is 3,200 rands per month. So she's absorbing a monthly loss of over 200,000 rands. Despite each of the students being approved for funding, none of them can pay her. She now has to ask them to leave.
We'll always have recommendations.
TUT's Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Ezekiel Moroka, says they are aware of the students' possible eviction, but that they cannot bend the rules for Mesegwale.
These processes are there to protect our students.
I mean, she's been accredited.
I have said already that I've interacted with the director of accommodation, and those students will be looked into.
She has been accredited by another university.
If that facility was accredited by another university, it's not our responsibility to check the outcome of an activity by another university. We have a process. We have gone on public to say, service providers, this is the procedure. If the service provider is irresponsible not to apply to be accredited, the university cannot be blamed for that.
That's being heartless. Because we're having our money, then they're keeping our money at the bank accounts. Not as if we're asking money from them.
Dr. Moraka says each of the 65 students' cases will be looked into by the varsity's Director of Accommodation.
Makes me wonder what kind of a university is that. She took us in, at least we know we're safe. They know we're safe here, because obviously they know about this place. It's not that they don't. They know we're safe here. Where do they expect us to move to now?
When we return, the Department of Higher Education says this is not their problem alone to solve.
We have to say it's society's problem, and we all have to work together to create the possibility of ensuring that as we go forward, we deal with this problem effectively.
Enrollments at tertiary institutions have almost doubled over the past 18 years, according to the Department of Higher Education. That surge has created a range of challenges, which prompted Minister Bladen Nzimande to call for big and bold solutions. In addition to tackling the fees must fall demands, over 2 billion rand has been allocated for student accommodation. The department's Diane Parker says there's a deep legacy that needs undoing.
What has happened in this country is that initially, and you will remember during apartheid, we had a number of institutions that had been set up. There was never an imagination that universities or colleges would require such levels of student housing.
So why isn't the department treating this like a national crisis?
I think the department is treating this as a really urgent issue. We are working very hard towards developing student housing. We are finding additional funding to support it. I think when individual students are stuck in dire situations, you can understand that's not something that any of us want to see.
What do we do now with the bunch of students who are currently sleeping in a burnt-out building?
As I've indicated, if these are NSFAS funded students, provide a list with all of their student numbers and their IDs, and then we can look at how we can deal with those individuals.
And the department hasn't thought of doing that since the year began. I mean, we're already in the middle of the year.
These students have not come to the department.
But the department is aware of the problem.
The department works on a continuous basis. I can tell you, I could give you lists of students who come to us requesting assistance, particularly students who are funded through NSFAS, and we do deal with every single case and we find solutions for every single case in partnership with NSFAS. Because clearly it's large numbers of students we're talking about, and it's not just an unfeeling bureaucracy. You have to have a system and you have to have a bureaucracy to manage these issues. So let's not look at the problem of student housing as something outside of the much wider social context. So when we ask whose problem is this, we have to say it's society's problem, and we all have to work together to create the possibility of ensuring that as we go forward, we deal with this problem effectively.
That's all from us this week. Please do give us your feedback. Our Twitter handle is @checkpoint_ENCA and our email address checkpoint@enca.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Nkepile Mabuse.